the do not disturb sign in her purse. It shouldn't have been there at all. A cardboard tongue the color of ripe cherries. Do not disturb printed in white so bold it felt like a dare. I found it because her purse tipped in the hallway and little lives spilled out, lip balm, a single earring, a candy with its wrapper worried half off. I set everything back where it belonged, and then this red slip stared up at me like a flag that had learned manners. On the back, in small print, the hotel's name curved around the hole for the handle, Harbor Line. We had never stayed there together. When I held the sign to my nose, it smelled faintly of citrus and stone, that new perfume that had been learning our rooms in the dark. Before red signs and perfect fonts, we were a basic mercy. June slept with her palm open over my ribs like she was catching breath I'd need later. I ironed pillowcases because flat cotton proved that even ordinary could be made to behave. On Sundays, we walked the market and argued about tomatoes like cities argue with weather. If a storm rolled in at night, we cracked the window and let the rain write on the glass until our apartment remembered it was a home, not a set. It drifted in on scent first. Rosemary gave way to something bought with confidence, the kind that sits deeper than sweetness. Then sound changed. Her phone learned a new alert, two clean notes like a doorbell for a smaller house. It rang at 12:07 and again at 12:11 and then at 12:17, a rhythm of patience with an agenda. London, she said. Their deadlines forget I have a body. She showered with the light off. Migraine, set into steam. And I learned to shave by memory because mirrors were suddenly enough. I put the sign in the drawer with scissors and tape and the screwdriver that fits every faceplate in the apartment. When she called out from the bathroom, asking where the good towels lived, I answered like good men on sitcoms, cheerful, useful, not in the way. At dinner, she told me about a client who wanted a new logo and really wanted revenge. I salted the stew until steam said coastline and handed her a spoon. She bit it lightly and said more salt, our private joke for everything that feels like it could survive being stronger. Later, in bed, she took my hand and threaded our fingers like fastening herself to a raft she wasn't sure she'd keep. Her mouth found my throat and remembered. Desire arrived because desire is loyal even when people are. We moved with the muscle memory you don't earn twice. She slid away after, turning to the window as if the city could explain us better than we could. Harbor Line sits on the river and sells weather to people who forgot what the sky can do by itself. The lobby smells like time and polite money. I walked there on a Wednesday for batteries, which is what I told myself when I needed a reason that wasn't revenge. The front desk kept a bowl of green apples and a stack of cards with the housekeeping schedule printed in tiny, practiced letters. A couple drifted past me toward the elevators with that careful betweenness of people who are trying to look like they could be anyone. The man's hand rested an inch above the small of her back, not quite touching, the way people do when they've already learned a map and don't want to boast about it. In the bar off the lobby, a glass roof perspired under heat lamps and vines pretended summer. I sat and ordered the cheapest beer they were ashamed to pour. I didn't see June. I saw the way the place made room for secrets and smiled anyway. When I got home, the apartment held the faint mineral ghost of that lobby. Her coat was on the chair we pretend is a valet. The two-note chime announced itself from the bedroom. I set my keys down with the gentleness you give bomb parts and made tea like manners could keep me from saying a worse thing later. I didn't confront her. I made a list like a good student. Dates, doors, dollars, witnesses. I called a lawyer who keeps her office over a cobbler. The stairs smell like leather and old rain. Outcome or scene, she asked, as if the two are cousins who don't speak. Outcome, I said, because I could at least aspire to the kind of pain that doesn't require an audience. Then we need boring things, she said. Screenshots and receipts. No literature by text. Judges are allergic to metaphor. Choose a witness who loves you enough to tell you to sit down. My witness is Clara, our neighbor who rescues plants from trash rooms and marriages from the last 10 minutes before a decision. I also invited her brother, Lev, who knows when to carry heavy objects and when to pretend he can't. I told them we were testing a Sunday menu because parties are scaffolding. I cooked too much so the place would smell like generosity instead of suspicion. At 8 June texted 15 minutes, the way people do when their definition of time has become a story they tell themselves. At 8:27, she arrived flushed with weather that had happened indoors, kissed me in front of them with accurate affection, and set her phone face down like a prayer rug. After the plates were cleared, I set the red sign on the table. It was absurd and obvious, a stage prop in a kitchen. Housekeeping left this in your bag, I said, aiming for benign and hitting brittle. June's eyes held mine, then the sign, then me again, like a person keeping a promise with both hands. Lev stared at his water glass like he was trying to read the future in the ring it left. Clara's hand brushed my elbow under the table, a touch that says don't drown your own witness. We should talk privately, June said, and her voice had the conference room calm I've seen her use to end combative meetings without firing anyone. We will, I said, but I need proof I didn't imagine the hallway. They left us. We became two people at a table with a prop and a shared past. She turned the sign over, skimmed the tiny print, and placed it exactly centered between us as if accuracy could behave like mercy. He was supposed to be air, she said. A door that opens in a wall I thought was permanent. She laughed once softly at herself, and the laugh scraped like a match that refused to catch. Is he married? I asked, because hauntings are less dramatic when they have paperwork. Separating, she said. A daughter, 9. I pressed my palms flat on the wood and felt warmth come back into my skin like consent. Do you love him? The word crowded the room the way it does, all elbows and need. She looked at the ceiling as if a sprinkler system could argue on her behalf. I love not narrating myself to him, she said. With you I was becoming a museum guide. He let me be a painting and then a body. She looked at me and didn't cry. I loved us like infrastructure, she said. We held. Then I wanted a horizon that moved. We're going to separate, I told her. I let the we do the clean work of a blade because singular felt like falling. She nodded slow, as if a staircase she'd been descending in the dark had finally remembered a landing. Do you want me to go now? She asked. I want you to stop opening 2 doors with one hand, I said. Pick the room that will hold you. I'll choose the other. She packed in 40 minutes. People think leaving is montage and violins. It's a sprint you've already trained for in your sleep. She took the camel coat and the travel charger and the scent that thinks it's a stone. She left the sign. At the door she reached for my wrist with the old code, thumb to thin skin, and changed her mind midair, which hurt worse and better than contact. I was happy, she said, and bored and afraid and greedy, and I'm sorry. You were human, I said. So am I. The man wrote to me once as script demands. A corporate email that said respect and timing and hoped we could proceed like gentlemen, as if the century required that word to be a shield. I forwarded it to the lawyer and to Clara, who replied with the only sacrament I recognize. Block, breathe, boil. I boiled water and the kitchen fogged and the window gave me back my shape. Nights grew accurate. The bed learned my outline the way a field learns the wind. The 2-note phantom still chimed in my head for a week, and then it didn't. I changed the Wi-Fi password to a sentence about bridges and motion, and pretended the router believed me. I ironed pillowcases badly and forgave the creases. I slept diagonal and practiced waking up without thinking of audience. Once, because endings itch if you don't scratch them, I went a harbor line and sat in the bar beneath its sweating glass roof. Couples performed want with polite fervor. A waiter set down a drink near me with a leaf floating on top like a survivor. I could have watched elevators. I watched the door instead, the honest one. People came in out of whether they had actually earned. The decree arrived on thick paper, italic sorrow in a font designed to look like it had always known the answer. I folded it and slid it under the tray where we keep keys to the mailbox and the bike, and the little safe that holds the first passport I can't give back. I put fresh sheets on the bed and smoothed them with my palms until the cotton remembered. I took the red sign and hung it on the inside knob of the hall closet and closed the door. It swung once and fell still in the dark, a joke between me and nobody. June texted on a Wednesday. That's when people try to be better without an audience. Thank you for not making me the worst thing I did. I typed and erased and finally wrote, thank you for not asking me to keep a light on in 2 rooms. She sent a photo of a rented place with a window that looked like a square of sky and a plant that believed in its stem. I sent back the river pretending to be silver again. We didn't flirt. We traded weather and let the rest be implied. Desire visits with its old impudence. Some nights I remember the way she hooked her knee behind my thigh and the soft vowel she made when my mouth found the place where breath changes shape. Memory is accurate and unkind. I let it play to the chorus, and then I turn it off and make tea. The kettle's small scream might be the truest sound in the apartment. It requires action and offers warmth. I still iron pillowcases on Sundays. It's not piety, it's maintenance. I run by the river until the cold turns honest on my teeth. The basil on the sill wants too much, and I forgive it again with water. I keep the harbor line sign where it can't see me and I can't see it. Some symbols deserve demotion to objects. The last time I saw her, the elevator doors opened like a soft coincidence. She wore a new coat the color of declaration. We said hello like neighbors and she asked about sleep. Better, I said, and the truth didn't shiver when I spoke it. She adjusted her bag and didn't touch my wrist. I admired her restraint and then mine. The doors closed and showed me my face as an apparition for a second, then a person, then no one. Sometimes, out of mischief, I hang the red sign on my own bedroom door before I sleep and laugh, quiet in my chest at the accuracy of the lie. The only disturbance in my room is the way morning insists. When I wake at 12, 11, as I still do sometimes, I press my thumb to my wrist and listen for the old code. All I hear is pulse saying here, here, here. It's not romantic. It's the truest thing I own. On the coldest night in January, I walked to the market for oranges that taste like light. The wind leaned and I leaned back. On my way home, I passed Harbor Line and didn't go in. I imagined the lobby apples wearing their green like a secret, the vines rehearsing a summer that would arrive on its own anyway. The city felt like a room that had forgiven itself. In my kitchen, I ate an orange over the sink like a bachelor and let the peel oil my hands. I rinsed the knife and set it to dry at an angle only I find satisfying. The bed weighted, flat cot and accurate. I turned the light off and the dark held. The latch caught on the first try. Somewhere, a sign tells a door to behave. In here, I do it myself.